Good morning, everyone. My name's David Copeland. As Hamish pointed out, I'm a consultant with Gold Hunter Resources and Magnetera Minerals. Today I'd like to present on Gold Hunter's Great Northern project in western Newfoundland. There we go. That was me, not the device. Just a disclaimer concerning forward-looking statements. Gold Hunter Resources has a proven track record of delivering value. So this is the only corporate slide I'm going to present. And I present it really in the context of the Great Northern project. So Gold Hunter assembled a large land package in the Rambler and Tilt Cove districts in the Bayvert Peninsula, which it subsequently sold to recently to Firefly Metals for $15 million in value. That share position that Gold Hunter acquired now has a current value of $35 million. It dividended those shares to Firefly shareholders, so 83% of those went out to Firefly shareholders, so a really good return on investment for that group. Subsequently, it optioned the Great Northern project from Magnetera Minerals for $9.5 million Canadian in value. The Great Northern project is located in White Bay in western Newfoundland. It sits along the Deucers Valley Fault, just outside of the community of Sops Arm, Pollard's Point, and Jackson's Arm. Like many of the orogenic gold projects and deposits that we've heard about this morning, Great Northern sits along one of those major crustal scale fault zones. And then one that I think is going to increase in significance as more exploration is completed. Scalable growth. We can't underscore this enough about the project. It's got a lot of scale. There's a lot of targets that have been developed over the years of exploration since the original discoveries in the 80s. When Gold Hunter came in, they didn't just acquire the project from Magnetera, they acquired a bunch of ground surrounding it from prospectors. So they've put together a strong consolidation story there with over 23,000 hectares of mineral lands. It is an exploration stage gold project. We cover 40 kilometers of the Deucers Valley Fault, so a good strike extent for exploration. And there's existing mineral resources, so at the Rattling Brook deposit and the Thor deposit. So known gold endowed area. Through the compilation of data that we've completed, there's now 49 kilometers of cumulative strike length of targets. So that's soil anomalies, rock anomalies through various surveys that we've done. Those are kind of outlined in those red hatched areas on that regional geology map. Within that 49 kilometers, there's 18 first priority targets to follow up on. So one of the big tasks for Gold Hunter right now is just sorting through those, prioritizing those targets as we go forward and start drilling some of them. Again, I'll point out the mineral resources. Rattling Brook on the north block up towards Jackson's Arm, it's got a resource of 255,000 ounces at 1.45 grams. And then the Thor deposit to the south on the southern block is basically 50,000 ounces in pit at 1.7 grams per ton gold. Major geological features in the area, again, the Deucers Valley Fault that runs kind of north-south through the project. To the west is all Precambrian basement, mostly basement granites and orthogneisses. Through that area. Those are the main hosts to the gold mineralization, so it sits in the basement rocks predominantly. Off to the east of the Deucers Valley Fault is largely younger cover rocks, so Ordovician, quartzites, carbonates, and then Silurian volcanic and sedimentary rocks of the Sops Arm group. So a very dynamic geological environment. The structure's been multiply reactivated over geological time. And that's why we really like this area. It's been hit by deformation several times, and there's evidence for multiple generations of gold mineralization. We like this comparison. It's geologically very similar to the Valentine Gold Project. in that it has, basically, we're sitting along a major shear zone with Precambrian granites up against younger sediments and volcanic rocks. So really Great Northern right now with its endowment of targets just needs an injection of exploration capital and drilling, and I think we'll find more gold resources in that area. Exploration work that we've done since basically the last update last fall and in this fall, so 2023-2024 update. We did that digital data compilation that was associated with consolidation of the land package. We updated the technical report on the whole project, as well as the Thor deposit. We collected around 1,400 soil samples last fall that helped us identify even more targets than we had before, and a small prospecting program last year where we found 6.35 grams in grab samples from the Taylor's Pond prospect, something that really wasn't previously recognized. And then we've had a good 2-month field program this fall since we closed the transaction with Magneterra, just basically starting to look at all those gold prospects, and I'll walk you through a few of those and just highlight some of the scale and the potential that the area offers. So, and right now we're undertaking an airborne VTEM magnetic survey over the entire project, so that's ongoing right now. Should finish up within the next few weeks. Just to get into a little more detailed geology, so we're on the Viking block now, that southern block. One of the key features outside of the Deucers Valley Fault are these 070 oriented fault splays, and you can see the gold targets there at Viking North, the Viking Trend. There's the Thor deposit right in this area, and then we have several gold trends also out in the Sops Arm group through here, and we'll cover a few of these primarily when we go through some of the detail, but large strike extents on some of these targets, like Viking North, is 8 kilometers long. That really came to be defined via largely soil samples in late 2022 as we've kind of progressed these targets along, but subparallel structure, fault splay off the Deucers Valley Fault in through there, subparallel to the Viking Trend, which we've drilled in places and successfully intersected gold mineralization. This is that Taylor's Pond discovery, so you can see the 6 gram per ton sample down here in the south, close to a 23 gram per ton sample that was collected in here in I think it was 2010. We did soils over that and defined a 300-meter long soil anomaly. We kind of stopped at that boundary because that was the old boundary for the Magneterra ground. Again, this ground off to the west has since been brought in by Gold Hunter. So we're currently pushing mineralization and exploring off to the west of that. Key feature here, there's the Deucers Valley Fault running up the middle there. There's the felsic volcanics of the Sops Arm group, so Silurian and aged. And then there's the Gull Lake Intrusive Suite, which is a granodiorite. So mineralization so far is hosted within that granodiorite. It's the first time we've really seen mineralization within that Gull Lake Intrusive Suite. So I think that multiple faults that have been mapped off of the LiDAR, I think open up the potential for that whole intrusion where it's proximal to structures to host mineralization. The Kramer-Loki trend. So the Kramer and Thor deposits, which there's the Thor, it strikes north-south along a structural feature through there, and then Kramer follows the unconformity up through here with between the basement and Cambrian quartzites through there. We've known about these for a while. They've been drilled, they've been explored, still open for expansion, but what we found through soil sampling was that we outlined this Loki trend, which sits off in the carbonates and the phyllites. So it's a 2-kilometer long soil trend. We've seen quartz veins and sulfide mineralization within those rocks, but it really hasn't been prospected. One of the reasons for that is we thought that this was probably great glacial dispersion off the hill and the deposits to the west. Not quite so sure of that now, where we see quartz veins and mineralization within those rocks. So we're exploring that now, that Loki trend. And then the Sims Ridge Wizard Trend. Again, these are historic occurrences. The Sims Ridge has been there for a while, but it's 1.5 kilometers long. It sits right over here. Really good grades, and some of that up to 26.6 grams per ton. 26 of 55 historic samples assay over 0.5 grams per ton gold. And it's hosted within the Silurian Sims Ridge sediments. So not in the volcanics like over here, there's the Sopsarm volcanics, but in the sediments that are further off to the east. So again, it's a bit unique in that sense as well. And then there are, just adjacent to our ground, we don't own this central block here, but just adjacent to that, there's significant soil anomalies that haven't had much follow-up prospecting at Wizard. Browning Unknown Brook Trend. Again, this is just to the south. You can see Sims Ridge up there, but this follows the contact between those Sims Ridge sediments and the volcanic rocks. 2.5 kilometer long trend. Obviously great grades at the Browning, the old Browning mine, up to 162 grams per ton. But this hasn't had a lot of exploration. You can see the soil sampling isn't even complete over it. The Unknown Brook occurrence has been drilled previously, so lots of exploration upside, not to mention the Browning West over here with assays up to 16.5. So I'm probably starting to sound like a bit of a broken record, but lots of gold occurrences. And again, trying to prioritize those is one of the things we're looking at right now. Moving to the north, up to the Jackson's Arm block. So this is further to north, about 10 kilometers. Again, the geology is very much the same. We're targeting these 070 oriented fault splays like we see at the incinerator and furnace trends. You can see the three zones of the Rattling Brook deposit here, the Apsey zone, the Road zone, and the Beaver Dam. So those are all open for expansion as well. And quite a large target over here at Jackson's Arm. So I'll just go through those briefly and give you a look at those. Here's the Road zone. You can see in red, that's the outline of the historic resource area that we have there. So two zones, the Apsey and the Road. In the red hatched areas, all the soil and rock anomalies that are adjacent to it. So, you know, what we see is that the Road zone is open for expansion about 500 meters to the south, and then the Apsey zone can be extended up this northwest fault by up to 800 meters. And in 2021, Magneterra did a small drill program there. You can see the few black dots, successfully extended the zone by 250 meters. So we're quite confident that it's going to be open for further expansion up that valley. And incinerator and furnace. So these are, again, fairly large scale targets, cumulative 3.6 kilometers along these 070 oriented faults, multiple soil and rock anomalies along them. There was 4 holes completed at incinerator in the 1980s. All 4 of them intersected mineralization that was significant. It hasn't been followed up on since. So incinerator is a target that really just is kind of drill ready now. It's got IP on it. It's got soils. We know its orientation. So it's just a matter really of getting in there and drilling it out and just seeing how big it can get. Furnace is a little further behind, but we're working on that right now. And then there's potential to extend the existing Beaver Dam zone both south and to the north. The Jackson's Arm trend, again, this is off to the northeast of the property. This is a 4 kilometer long alteration zone. It sits at the contact between an Ordovician tonalite, part of the southern White Bay of Lochtham, where it's in thrust contact with the Silurian Sopsarm group. The alteration zone basically follows that thrust fault. We went in there with a small program in 2020. We drilled across the main structure. I think what's become apparent to us since is that you almost need to turn the drill 90 degrees to better hit some of the vein systems. So I think that'll be the approach going forward there. Just turning the drill 90 degrees and not drilling across your main structures, but almost perpendicular to them. But obviously good grades, large alteration system present at Jackson's Arm. In summary, Gold Hunters got a proven track record of recent consolidation, adding value for shareholders. It's acquired a strategic land position over the Deucers Valley Fault, controlling 40-kilometer strike length of that structure. We have drill-ready targets. In fact, a lot of targets we got to get through, and that's job number one. So 18 plus targets, 49 plus kilometers of strike length. Gold is obviously trading at all-time highs. The jurisdiction is wonderful. We all know that. It's one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. And we have a focused and experienced team that can undertake that. Thank you very much.